Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel, and today we're going to be going into a new product. So here's the box it comes in. It says RS1 multi-purpose ratchet set. It says magic ratchet handle, S2 alloy steel bits, super hard aluminum alloy handle. Sorry, I have a lot of other stuff on the table and everything right now, so we're kind of working in an awkward location, but so it does come in this nice little case. It's got some hinges on the back, hinge on the front, or a latch on the front. It is plastic, but still a nice little case. Okay, so we got a little bit of foam up here to protect that top from rubbing. Not gonna lie, I selected this one because I thought it looked interesting and it looked well built, and I'm still actually very surprised. It's actually a lot cleaner than I thought it was gonna be. I was really expecting, I don't know, a little bit lower quality, but this thing is actually really clean. It's got like a brushed aluminum finish. It's kind of got it's very clean actually. So here's the ratcheting mechanism. It's not quick release or anything like that. That's just the back portion of the ratcheting mechanism, but you do have a reverse lever there. Some nice knurling on this portion. It's all magnetic. It's very versatile. You can, from the images, I'll throw some up, you can change this thing in so many different ways. It's pretty cool. So if you need some more length but not a whole lot of torque, you can still get a lot of torque on this thing, you know, for a screw, probably more than you would with a standard screwdriver gripping it like this. But all of this is aluminum. The only steel part is this bit portion right here that connects everywhere. And then here's your main bit adapter that holds your bits. So it holds pretty nicely. It's got some pretty decent strength there on the main one. When these ones are in here, it does have magnetism. There's slight magnetism, not a whole lot. I mean, it's not going to fall off or anything, but it's definitely not as strong as this one here on the main portion. But it's a 58 tooth ratcheting mechanism. So it's actually really smooth. I want to say that's, post a picture up in here, 6.8 degree arc swing. Not a big deal on a ratcheting screwdriver. Not looking for super high tooth count, but that's pretty good for a ratcheting screwdriver. Another way, if you really need torque, you can use it this way, or you can use it as a speed handle screwdriver, or if you're in a tight area and you can't get a full turn on it, having that ratcheting mechanism is actually really cool. So I do like that all of the ends are magnetic. Then you could do something like this, so it's set up more like a ratchet. You can put your bits straight in here as well if you don't need the extra length or depth. But then if you're kind of reaching into a recessed area, this is very handy as well. It holds it pretty dang well. I don't think you're going to end up losing it or anything unless you get it stuck in like a rusty fastener or anything like that, or strip a head of a screw and have this jammed up in there. But this is actually a very interesting design. I don't use a whole lot of ratcheting screwdrivers just because it's not my preference. I just like my standard screwdrivers. But when I saw this, I thought of it more of a ratchet than I did a ratcheting screwdriver, just because of its design and versatility. I think this is better than your standard ratcheting screwdriver, but that also depends on your situation and the type of work that you do. But I think removing trim panels and things like that, in my situation, underneath dash, working on wiring, removing those panels and steering columns and things like that, I believe this is going to be very handy. So definitely enjoy the design. It's a lot cleaner than I thought. Operates really smoothly. Looking at the bits, they are color coded. So your Phillips, you have the dark blue, flatheads, you have the purple. All of your Torx, which are at least from the T8 up to the T27, are all tamper proof, but you do have a good selection of bits there. And then you also, and that's kind of in that teal color, and then the gray is all of your Allens. So a good selection of bits. It is S2 steel like it stated earlier. size markings and everything on the case itself, but there's no marking or size or S2 or anything on the actual bit itself. It's just the color-coded rubber band. Overall, first impression, very impressed, but let me go ahead and take it to work for a week or two, and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Let's go to work. Ratcheting, where you can spin it like a T-handle. Same thing. Use it more like a ratchet. Get some real good torque on it. You can use it as a standard screwdriver. Or like up in dashes where it's real tight. Something like this with a low profile and still being able to ratchet is just a fantastic thing to have, especially working up in defrost events and things like that. So, just a few examples. Okay, YouTubers, so I've had this at work approximately about 2 weeks, and I've probably used it maybe 30 times. So, like I've stated in previous videos, I'm not a huge ratcheting screwdriver user. I prefer my standard style screwdrivers, but there are definitely those cases where a ratcheting screwdriver is very handy, especially one that's compact for the work that I do, not just in trim panels and tail lights and stuff like that, but in close quarter areas under dashes. I work a lot under dashes, in the tops of dashes, things like that, where getting to fasteners is really awkward. So anytime I can use a standard screwdriver or my drill, that's what I do. It's obviously just faster and more comfortable, but having something like this can definitely be handy, and I definitely prefer something like this over your standard ratcheting screwdriver, at least for the work that I do. So I'm gonna say some pros and cons. Pros, I do like the case. It's organized very well. I like the assortment of bits. It's not overly excessive. I primarily use Torx, Allens, and Phillips. I do like that there's a few flatheads in here. I'm glad that it doesn't include a bunch of the other bits that I don't really ever use. So it's a nice assortment. I like the color-coded portion on here. Keep in mind, it doesn't say anything on the bits as far as what size it is or anything like that, but not a big deal. So I do like the case. You can also, like you guys saw, there are just a couple tabs in here that basically hold this top on. If you're going to keep this in a drawer, it's probably easier to just remove the top and leave this laying in a drawer. Other than that, I do like that about the case and the organization. Con, I do kind of wish that they would have left this portion open so you can actually leave a bit in the screwdriver, just because a lot of the time I'm either using my number 2 Phillips or like a T20, T15, T20, or T25. Those are very common for me to use, so if I could leave my Phillips in here, that'd be fantastic. I could probably just leave it in there like that, but very minor con, I would definitely say that. The other thing that I would like to see is the magnets for these side portions to have a little bit more resistance, whether that be tighter tolerances here or just a stronger magnet in general. This main magnet and tolerances on here is a lot better. So like this, I don't ever have to worry about coming out of the tool. It's this. So I was just seeing many different situations where I could use this, how I could use this, and I just spun this, and I spun it a little bit harder. Obviously not backwards, but removing a screw, and I spun it a little too hard, and they actually flew out. Now, obviously, I know that I wouldn't do it anymore, but that's just a con. I wish these side magnets for these pieces were just a little bit stronger. The other con is the center section is, it doesn't have any knurling or anything. Obviously, if you're gripping it like this, you don't have an issue, but like just spinning it, it is pretty slippery, I'm not gonna lie. So some knurling like you see on these pieces would be nice along the center section. And then the other thing, if you're going to use this, I wouldn't suggest throwing this in a tool bag. If you throw this in a tool bag, yeah, it's durable. I've dropped it probably 5 times actually. I think if you leave this in a tool bag, these are probably going to come off of the tool in the tool bag, and then you're going to be hunting around for the different pieces and everything. So I think it's something that should either stay in the case or somewhere that you can't lose the side pieces. because once again, I do wish those side magnets were a little stronger. I mean, they're not like extremely weak or anything, but they're nothing compared to the main bit attachment. Other than that, the ratcheting mechanism works very nicely. I do like that I can use it as an extended ratchet or anything like that. There's a lot of different situations where I've found this actually very handy. So overall, I think for $20, it's fantastic. You can find this from a few different makers, or people selling them on Amazon. They're all going to range from $18 to $30, but I think $20 for this set is a fantastic price. It's definitely something I'm going to continue to use. I actually don't keep any ratcheting screwdrivers in my work van just because I'd rather use a standard screwdriver than I would a ratcheting screwdriver. But since this is more versatile, this is actually something that I could use for those awkward situations. So please let me know your guys' thoughts on that. Other than that, I really don't have any other pros or cons to it. I think overall for $20 you get a good tool, and it's actually, once again, very surprising on the quality and durability. For the handful of times that I dropped it, it actually held up very well. Very surprised by it. I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I wasn't expecting it to be horrible, but I wasn't expecting it to be as nice as it is. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Maybe you guys have purchased one like this before, or if you guys have another version that's similar to this or just as versatile as this, please drop it down in the comments. I'd be glad to see it. And if you guys enjoyed, please make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and as always, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. See you guys next time.